Welcome everyone to the CFO Swinger Watch technical analysis video for the week of October 16th to the 23rd. All right, let's get right into the markets. So we have been seeing a nice pullback the last two trading days of last week. Now, one concerning thing is that we did see an increase in the volume last Friday and last Thursday. Now, last Thursday was pretty obvious since we did hit that targeted 437 resistance level, which we hit perfectly two times last week. And Thursday ultimately led us to reject it and move lower. Now, again, the volume is sort of concerning, but just price action wise, it's been absolutely perfect for a pullback since last Friday. We got this amazing bounce from 422.50 to 420 as we predicted, and we had a nice short squeeze run up to 437, and then we got that pullback. And the reason why this pullback was so perfect was that we came back down to retest both the daily 21, this light blue line, and the daily 10 SMAs, the red line here. So we did that on Thursday for the 21, and then we did that on Friday for the 10. And especially on Friday of last week, we got that retest at 429.50 to 430. So the low of the day was 429.88 on Friday, and I just love the fact that we were able to hold this support area between 429.50 to 430. So for this new week, I really want to see SPY continuously defending this specific support area. If not, then we'll come all the way back down to retest at least somewhere around 426, which should also coincide with this descending support trend line. So if we do see the 429.50 level or the 430 to 429.50 demand area being lost, then we'll come back down to retest 426, which is the next horizontal support level, and that should also coincide with this descending support trend line as well. Now, if we do see a bounce at this demand area, which I'm hoping we can see it, since we did get that second trade on UPRO, I am looking to see 437 being a target again. And ultimately, I want to see 440 being hit. But again, if you guys want that nice price range, 440 to 442 will be the maximum target range. And ultimately, sometime in mid to late November, I expect us to be hitting this descending resistance trend line and breaking out into the last month of this year. All right. And of course, after that, we're just going to continuously run up to the upside into the end of the year and into January of next year. Okay. Now, I also want to talk about QQQ now. All right. So that was the S&P 500 or SPY. So the Qs are actually a lot stronger. No surprise there, right? We've been looking at the fact that the tech sector has been leading the way to the upside and also to the downside. So, it's been relatively stronger compared to the overall markets. Basically, essentially, is what's happening here. So, the only reason why we can clearly see that QQQ is stronger is that we've had this bullish crossover of the 10 SMA over the 21 SMA on the daily time frame. And the fact that we've actually come up over the daily 50 SMA, this dark blue line, and we've stayed over it 3 times, tells us that the tech sector is still stronger compared to the overall markets, right? Compared to the mid caps, the small caps, and etc. So, QQQ, definitely something to keep in watch. Maybe sometime this week I might also add a position for QQQ. You guys already know that I love to use SQQQ as a hedge, but this time around I might just grab QQQ calls rather than SQQQ calls. But it all depends on whether or not QQQ decides to hold this significant support level at 364, which also coincided with the daily 10 SMA on Friday of last week. Okay, so that is it for the markets. Let's take a look at our first name. Okay, Disney. So Disney is really interesting. Oops, here we go. Let's move this. So Disney last week pretty much held off selling. And instead, after it broke out of this really macro descending resistance trend line, it's been holding over it, right? So that is a very textbook character change on the price action. And for the fact that we are on the weekly time frame here, and the fact that we've closed over the weekly 10 SMA, okay, tells me that there is a chance for bulls to regain control of this this price action here, this declining price action, and break out of this, well, continuously break out of this descending resistance trend line. And in order for this name to do that, we can get a potential entry today, or excuse me, this week, over $85.20. However, if you guys want to get a confirming entry point, I would highly recommend to get an entry point over $86 or 86.10. Now, why? Well, first of all, that is going to be over the previous week's highs. And last week's highs was at 85.72. So there's a check mark there. 86.10 will be over last week's highs. But most importantly, we will be going over, well, first of all, we'll be retesting the weekly 21 SMA, this light blue line. And on Friday last week, the weekly 21 SMA closed at 86.35. And so by the time the price comes back over to try to retest the weekly 21 SMA, I expect it to be at $86 and coinciding with this potential entry point. All right. Now for both of these respective entry points, I want you guys to have a tight $1 stop loss because again, next week we have a bunch of earnings coming out and very important tech earnings. So again, make sure you guys read the market summary first before you guys watch this technical analysis video. All right. Now for both of these entries, okay, whether you guys get it at 85, which is the earlier entry, or 86 from our confirmation, our profit target should be around $88 or maximum $90 to $91 just for this week. All right. So our second and last name here is NFLX. So on the weekly time frame, all right. So I want to look at this name on the weekly time frame. We have earnings coming out this Wednesday after hours. So you guys know what that means, and you guys should know what is coming up here, since I love to play this type of catalysts. So basically, as usual, I'm going to play an earnings run up. Now, on the weekly time frame, we are at a pivotal area that can give us that earnings run up. So even if we didn't have earnings, I would expect to see this name pivoting off of this specific area. Now, why this specific area? Well, first of all, if I take out all my levels here, we have breached the weekly 50 SMA. This is a very important support level or area that we need to hold. But for the fact that we've overextended this push to the downside gives me some hope that we can see a nice large bounce right back up over this weekly 50 SMA. And guess what? The weekly 50 SMA has closed last week at 360.04. So basically right at that 360 whole number level. So I expect this name to move at least right back over 360 or basically over the weekly 50 SMA, right? So typically what tends to happen when the price breaks below or breaches below the weekly 50 SMA or any other major weekly SMAs, we tend to overreact and overextend the price action to that particular side. And in this case, it's a downside or downtrending move. So we tend to also get a reaction to that reaction by bouncing back to the upside. Okay, so that is exactly what I'm looking for. Now, based on that overall big picture perspective, let's go back to the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame on Friday, we actually ended up having a nice doji candlestick, and potentially this doji candlestick can turn into a morning star doji candlestick. And so with all these bullish technical indicators here on the weekly and daily time frame, we have earnings catalyst on top of that to support this bullish thesis. So on Monday, tomorrow, I am hoping to see the price giving a nice push upwards and over 360, and most importantly over last Friday's highs, or the previous high today, which was sitting at 358.93. That is the high of last Friday. And if we're able to go past that number, then we should be able to close way over that previous high today to give us confirmation that yes, this was indeed a nice Morningstar doji, and we can have a nice V-shaped recovery back to the upside on top of the help that we will potentially get from this earnings day on Wednesday. So again, I'm looking for that earnings day run up, and we're getting a bunch of complementing bullish technical indicators on the daily and the weekly time frame. All right, now with that in mind, let's go into the 15-minute time frame. So I'm expecting this trade this week to be maybe around 2 days maximum, or maybe all the way up into Wednesday, so 3 days maximum if we do get an entry point tomorrow on Monday. But you know, we wouldn't want to predict the time frame. All we need to do is make sure we know our entries, our stop loss, and our profit targets. So for Netflix, on the 15-minute time frame, we've been consolidating for most of Friday, which is why we got that indecisive doji candlestick on Friday. So if we're able to get a nice entry point over this pivot high point that I've highlighted here with the 0, which is at 356.37, and that's the reason why I was looking at that 356.50 whole number level, and that is another reason why our entry point is over 356.55, so right over that whole number level. So if we're able to get over this pivot high point, we should be making another higher high pivot point, and that's the reason why I gave you guys this entry point over 356.55. Now there is a resistance that we need to take note of, this 355.50 resistance level, this whole number resistance level on the 15-minute time frame. But I love the fact that we have closed over it. So the only thing that I need to see tomorrow is this specific level being used as a new level of support. Now, it's important to note, very, very important to note that we need to have a nice stop loss for Netflix. And again, remember, Netflix on the daily or even on the weekly time frame is a very, very large mover. The price ranges each trading day is very large compared to the cheaper stocks, right? So Netflix is an expensive stock, so it tends to have a very wide ranging day. So a 4 to 5 stop loss is pretty prudent here, or you can just use the previous low today as the stop loss. So anything under the previous low today, which was 352.08, will be a great stop loss. So anything that breaches that specific number is going to be your stop loss, right? And obviously, the fact that I put $45 as a stop loss from the entry point is obviously going to be underneath 352, right? So 356 minus $4 or $5 is going to be underneath that previous low today of 352.08, right? So everything is connected here. All right, so that is it for this week, right? And for this video. And if this TA video or technical analysis video was insightful, make sure you guys leave a like down below. And if you aren't subscribed yet, I don't know why you wouldn't be, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. But most importantly, make sure you guys hit that notification bell so that you guys know when I upload a new video or when I am live. Now again, apologies about my voice. My voice is coming back. I've had a sore throat and some sniffles and some coughs. I think I was a little bit sick, but I am on the road to recovery, which is the reason why my voice sounds like this. So my apologies if I butchered a few words here and there. Hopefully you guys didn't notice. But thank you guys again for watching this video. Good luck, and I'll see you all tomorrow morning.